Chapter 5 Royal Engagements. "Ah, there you are, sire," said Lumiere, handing Ben a pair of gem-encrusted scissors. Ben thanked his servant and excused himself from the ambassadors from the Bayou d'Orleans, who'd come all the way from Grimsville to attend today's event. "Is Mal here?" he asked, making his way to the front of the podium where a polite crowd of students and librarians had gathered, along with the Royal Press Corps, ready as usual with cameras flashing and television microphones. "No, sire, not yet," said Lumiere. "Let's give her a minute," he said. "I think we need to start," said Lumiere. They were already running half an hour late, and the guests were getting restless. "I will bring her up when she arrives." Ben agreed, taking the scissors and standing in front of the big yellow ribbon that was draped behind him in front of an open doorway. He looked out at the expectant faces gathered around, as well as the television camera and phones that were held up to record his every word. "It's a real treat to be here today at the opening of the Royal Wing of the Oradon Library. As you know, my mother is an avid reader and believes books are passports to a deeper knowledge and understanding of the world," he said, giving a speech he'd performed so often he could recite it in his sleep. There were many Royal Library wings in Oradon. After the speech, Ben shook his hands and made polite conversation with the dignitaries, keeping one eye on the entrance, looking for Mal. They hadn't seen each other since Fairy Godmother destroyed the talismans yesterday, and he wanted to make sure she was all right. She seemed a little green around the edges after the spell had cleared. He hadn't had any time to text her that day yet. His royal schedule was so packed between classes and royal duties that he hadn't even had a second to himself, so he'd been looking forward to seeing her at the library at least. Ben wondered what was keeping her as he walked over to the buffet table, pursuing the hot hors d'oeuvres, pie, and pudding flambe, all his favorite foods. He picked up a cup of the flaming pudding and spooned a bite. Ben had learned to take every opportunity to eat at these royal events. He'd been to a reception in Agrabah once where he had passed on food offered at the pre-ceremony, not knowing about the traditional 6 hours of speechifying that would follow. By the time they finally served dinner at midnight, he thought he'd pass out. Ben was also looking forward to seeing Mal so he could ask her to be his lady and have her official debut at Cotillion, an Oradon tradition that was coming up in a month or so. He was a little nervous about it, but it wasn't like he was asking her to publicly declare her love for him in front of the entire kingdom, except, no, he was. Maybe that meant he should make his cotillion proposal a little more special. But before he could think more on it, he was pulled aside by some older ladies from the Aurora Priory who wanted to have a word. "How is your dear mother?" asked the Duchess, who counted herself among Belle's closest friends and was something of an aunt to Ben. "She's very well, thank you," said Ben. "I think she's looking forward to coming home. She said she's been a bit seasick on the last leg of their cruise." "I'm so glad," said a countess, who was another of his mother's close friends. "The kingdom has missed them." "I've missed them," said Ben, feeling a bit homesick for his parents. He was proud they trusted him enough to leave the entire kingdom in his hands, but once in a while he did miss having his family around. "Oh, sweetheart," chorused the ladies, who immediately took to comforting him like their own child. Ben was assuring them he was quite all right when he felt another tap on his shoulder and turned to see Lottie. "Ben, can I have a word?" she asked. "Sure," he said, relieved to have an excuse to bid goodbye to the well-meaning mother hens. "What's wrong?" "I just got a message from the Imperial Palace. There's some trouble in Northern Way's Stone City, near the Great Wall, a border dispute with Agrabah." Ben frowned. "That doesn't sound good." "It's not. The Emperor doesn't want to insult the Sultan, and they're both asking if you can help them come to an agreement," said Lonnie. "The villagers on both sides will listen to you as King of Oradon, without anyone from the Imperial Palace or the Sultan's family losing face." "Sounds like a plan," said Ben. "Will you come now?" she pleaded. The Emperor is worried the situation might escalate. So far, everyone is being polite, but he thinks it'll be more than that if people don't calm down soon. Yes, of course. He wiped his mouth with a napkin and set down the pudding, following Lonnie out the door just as Mal rushed in with that determined look in her eye that he loved. "Ben!" she cried when she spotted him. She looked as if she'd just been running. "Mal!" he said, happy to finally see her. They hugged. "Am I that late? Are you leaving already?" she said, stricken. "I'm so sorry. I thought it was at the main library, not the school library. I went to the wrong place." "No, it's okay. Don't worry. The event isn't over, but I do have to go," he said, motioning to Lonnie. "Oh, hi, Lonnie," said Mal. "Hi, Mal," said Lonnie, fidgeting anxiously with the sword on her hip. "What's wrong?" Mal asked. "Trouble between Agrabah and Northern Way. I've got to broker a peace deal between them and the Empire," said Ben. "We have to leave immediately," said Lonnie. "How long will you be gone?" asked Mal, just as her phone burst into a devilish laugh. "Mwahaha! Mwahaha! Interesting choice for a text alert," teased Ben. "Yeah, I'm not so into the standard chirping bird," said Mal, looking down at her phone. "Huh, Evie just emergency texted me. I should go too." "Let me know if you need anything," said Ben. "I don't know when we'll get back yet, so keep in touch." "I will, don't worry," Mal promised, looking up at him with her sparkling emerald eyes. "And good luck." They hugged again, and Ben kissed her forehead. "By the way, remind me, I have to ask you something when I get back." "Okay, why so mysterious?" asked Mal. "Just ask me now." "I want to make it special," said Ben with a smile. "Ben, we should really go," said Lonnie anxiously. "Go," said Mal. "You're needed." Ben nodded and gave her a final squeeze, then ran off to follow Lonnie out the door to make the necessary arrangements with Lumiere.